Hey everybody, welcome to txgamehunters.com. This video we're doing today is how to do a firmware update on the ATN X-Sight 2, the Smart HD rifle scope. There's a few steps that we're going to go through. We're going to go through how to take the SD card out of your rifle scope, which is very simple. Putting the firmware update onto the micro SD card, putting it back in, and the whole process from start to finish. Stay tuned. Hopefully you guys learn a lot during this video, and if you have any questions, let us know. Alright, so the first thing we have to do is we have to take the micro USB out of your X-Sight, which is simple enough. We all know where to do that. Unscrew your cap. I hope if I screw it the right way. Set it here, and then I'm going to take my little screwdriver, press on that, and it actually brings out the cap, which I'm then going to grab it. My fingers are pretty fat, but there we go. Alright, so now I have this little other SD card, which this then goes in, which goes in the computer, which then that's what we put our firmware on. Then we come back and we're going to put it on the scope. So let's go grab it from the website. Alright, so here we are on the ATN website. The first thing you want to do is go over here to firmware. Click on firmware and then see where it says Smart HD firmware update. It gives you the instructions on what to do. Here's the X-Sight 2, which is what we're going to do for ours. Click on that. It makes you sign in. Hold on, let me sign in. Be right back. Alright, so once you sign in, it automatically starts the download, which is down here in the bottom left hand side of your computer. From there, we're going to then put it on our micro SD card. Alright, so it's finished. I'm going to click on this little arrow, show in folder. It comes up, right click and copy. I'm then going to go to my disk here. Here's a whole bunch of little stuff that I put on here. Some little video clips from my scope. But I'm going to right now go ahead and paste it into the USB. I mean the micro SD. Then exit. And then I'm good to take the micro SD out and we'll put it back in the scope. Alright everybody, welcome back. We're turning on the scope now. We got the scope hooked up to the TV through the HDMI cable, so that way you see 100% real time through the camera itself. So the scope loads up, and the first thing that comes on now is update firmware. Now I'm going to say no just for one reason right now, because I want to do one thing before I do the update. But if you have the firmware loaded on the micro SD card, this will automatically pop up when every time you put that micro SD card into the rifle scope. Alright, so I'm going to hit no just so I can get to the main menu. Then I'm going to go to menu, settings, go over to my profiles in 0, scroll down to current, and click on 0 reticle. Now at the top here, it's actually, let me shut off my light. There we go. Alright, so at the top here, get my camera situated, you see the coordinates, which is X86Y49. Those are my 0 coordinates for zeroing my rifle. So I'm going to write those down, or as of right now, just for quick purposes, I'm going to take a picture with my cell phone so I have those coordinates. That way I don't have to go out and re-zero my rifle after the firmware. Now I will go and test it out because the next video we're going to do the ballistic calculation video, so we're going to do that anyway. But now I have the coordinates. Hit enter, save and exit because I didn't change anything. Go back, oops, And all right, so we're back to the main screen. So now I'm going to turn off the rifle scope. Yes, shut down. And when it shuts down, I'm going to turn it back on to do the firmware update. Now, you could skip the step that I just did if you already have your coordinates written down, but just for purpose sake and showing you guys exactly everything, I wanted to go through that portion of it. All right, so update firmware. Scroll over, yes. Now, it's very important at this point, make sure you have strong batteries in your scope. If your scope shuts down during the firmware update, it could mess up the rifle scope, the firmware, could brick it, which you don't want to do. So make sure you have a good set of batteries in there, good fully charged Kentleys, or a brand new set of lithium batteries. Do not use regular alkaline. They are not powerful enough, and they could easily shut down the scope at any time, which you do not want to do during the firmware update. So almost there. And now it's going to reboot itself. Now, in the past, at this point, when the scope has sort of rebooted itself and then configured the Wi-Fi, during the Wi-Fi configuration, which you see right here, it will freeze. I don't know if that's the case with this new firmware update or not, but if it does, that is fine. You'll just do a hard reset, turn it back on, and we'll finish configuring it. So we're going to give it a couple minutes here. Oh, looks like it actually went through fine like it's supposed to. It may reboot one more time. Alright, firmware updated successfully. Hit OK. Okay, now that the X site has rebooted, we are done with the firmware update. So just to double check, we're going to go into the settings, go over to settings, and if you look all the way down at the bottom, it says firmware version, and it's 2.1.04.619.en, which is awesome. That is the new update, and we are good to go. Now let's double check to see if it messed up our 0, which it should not have. And we are still at x86y49, so we are still set to go with our 0. Of course, we will test it out at the range just to make sure, and we are good to go for the 0. Save and exit. Now the last thing I want to do is go over to photo video and go down to format SD card. And I'm going to hit yes. This is actually going to erase everything on the SD card, and it says format successful. This should erase the firmware update that you loaded onto the SD card, so that way every time you turn on your rifle scope, it will not ask you to do a firmware update. If you get that and it did not erase the firmware update, all you have to do is put your SD card back into your computer and physically erase that file that you had put onto the SD card, and you won't have any issue. So we are now 100% good to go. So now the next thing we're going to do on the next video is we're going to show you the new ballistic calculation and how it sets up your reticle, which is awesome. So hope you guys enjoyed, and if you have any questions, please leave comments and we will respond. All right, have a great day, everybody.